The war against the Vorvith had lasted decades, and humanity had endured losses that still haunted every corner of the solar colonies. Fleets had burned, planets had fallen, and countless lives had been sacrificed for survival. I had enlisted as a soldier at 18, driven by duty, fear, and a sense of something greater than myself. Victory was finally ours, but the cost had been incalculable. It was during the victory ceremonies on Vorvith Prime that the offer was made. As the surviving soldiers were called to the dais, medals pinned, commendations read aloud, I felt a strange unease when my name was announced. I stepped forward, expecting recognition for courage or survival. Instead, I was presented with a sealed container. The commander's voice boomed across the square. For your exemplary service and bravery, you are awarded a reward from the spoils of the Vorvith Empire. The container hissed as it opened. Light spilled out, and there she was. She was unlike any being I had ever seen. Standing slightly taller than a human woman, her skin shimmered with a faint, iridescent glow. Her eyes were large, amber, and unblinking, filled with intelligence and a depth that unsettled me. Her limbs were slender, yet powerful, and her posture radiated both pride and defiance. The crowd gasped. Soldiers whispered among themselves. Some of the commanders laughed nervously. And I, frozen by the weight of what I had been given, realized the enormity of the situation. The Vorvith had trained her to serve, to obey, but she was not simply a human concept of a servant or captive. She was a sovereign being reduced to an object of reward. Congratulations, the commander said. You now own your prize. I swallowed hard. The word, own, made my stomach turn. Ownership? Reward? How could someone, no matter how alien, be a prize for war? I glanced at her. She did not bow. She did not show fear. But her gaze, sharp and unreadable, met mine. I saw neither submission nor surrender, only observation. Her voice was calm, almost musical. You have received me. I will cooperate for now. But understand this. I am not yours. The crowd erupted in murmurs. I realized she had already claimed agency, even in a circumstance designed to strip her of it. The days that followed were tense. I was tasked with integrating her into the human encampment, but I could not treat her as a prisoner or a reward. That would betray everything I believed in, everything I had fought for. I quickly understood that survival and respect were intertwined. If I intended to keep the peace and prevent rebellion or sabotage, I needed her trust. She taught me her language, a series of clicks and tones that resonated differently in human ears, and I struggled to respond. I learned her customs, meals, gestures, and the rituals she performed to maintain mental and emotional equilibrium. In turn, I explained human habits, our technology, and the chaotic systems of our military hierarchy. Slowly, an understanding formed, not friendship yet, not partnership, but a bridge built of cautious respect. Weeks turned into months. The war had ended, but our lives were far from peaceful. Vorvith Prime was a scarred world, its cities in ruins, and its citizens wary of us. Together, we navigated these ruins, avoiding remnants of hostile forces and scavenging resources. She proved herself invaluable, her knowledge of the terrain, alien technology, and combat tactics saving lives. One night, under the shattered sky of Vorvith Prime, she spoke for the first time about her past. I was a commander in my own right, she said softly. I led units, made decisions, and held authority over thousands. To be given as a reward is an insult to all I was. I nodded, understanding more deeply the weight of what had been done. I cannot undo it, I said. But I can choose to treat you as the person you are, not as a prize. That choice is mine. Her gaze softened slightly. though the wariness remained. Then perhaps we can survive this together. As months became years, our bond evolved in unexpected ways. We were allies, partners, and reluctant companions forced into proximity by circumstance. I learned her strategies, her thought patterns, and the subtle ways she read the world. She learned my reasoning, my weaknesses, and my occasional moral compromises as a human soldier navigating post-war chaos. We faced threats together, rogue Vorvith factions, natural disasters, and sabotage from humans who viewed her presence as unnatural or dangerous. Each challenge required coordination, mutual reliance, and trust. And slowly, the lines between reward and relationship blurred. I began to understand the subtle truth of our situation. The war had ended, but human morality had not caught up with interstellar reality. We were bound together by circumstance, but the choice to respect, to cooperate, and eventually to care had to be conscious. She was no longer a prize, and I was no longer just a soldier. We were two beings negotiating survival, dignity, and a fragile trust. One evening, as we watched a Vorvith sunset bleed across the horizon, she spoke quietly. "You have treated me as equal, even when others did not. That choice that matters." I smiled faintly, exhausted from the day's work. "You've taught me more than I could have imagined, about strategy, patience, and honor. Perhaps we can create something new from this." Her amber eyes reflected the dying light, thoughtful and luminous. "Perhaps," she said, and for the first time, there was no edge of defiance in her tone, only possibility. Years later, the story of the human soldier and the alien woman spread across colonies, not as a tale of conquest, reward, or ownership, but as a lesson in dignity, respect, and the transformative power of choice. I realized that a prize is only what the recipient makes of it, and a reward is only meaningful when it inspires growth rather than submission. We had turned an impossible situation into a partnership. She remained a being of immense strength and intelligence, and I learned the weight of responsibility and honor in ways I never could have imagined as a soldier. Together, we navigated a galaxy still scarred by war, proving that even the most unlikely circumstances could give rise to respect, understanding, and even trust. In the end, the prize was no longer a prize, the reward no longer a transaction. It had become a shared journey, a test of morality, and a testament to what humanity and alien understanding could achieve when bound not by possession, but by choice. And as we stood on the cliff overlooking the rebuilt city of Vorvith Prime, I understood. Some rewards are not meant to be taken. They are meant to teach. Because the greatest victories are not over enemies, but over the limitations of perception, prejudice, and circumstance. And in that, we both won far more than medals or recognition could ever offer.